I found out the truth on a Tuesday. Not because he told me, but because he left his laptop open and walked into the shower. And I made the mistake of looking. 3 years. I gave him 3 years of my life. And in the end, he didn't even have the decency to close a tab. Her name was Priya. And the last message she'd sent him at 11:47 p.m. the night before, while I was sleeping next to him, said, "I can't wait until you're finally free. I want you to understand something before I go further. I wasn't a girl who ignored red flags. I was a girl who genuinely didn't see them. And that's the part that breaks me the most. Not that he lied, but that he was so good at it. We met in college. He was the kind of man who remembered how you took your coffee, who texted you good morning before you even woke up, who told your mother she raised someone remarkable. I used to think I was lucky. I used to think I'd somehow gotten more than I deserved. We moved in together last year. I thought we were building something. I was saving money for a trip to Bali, our trip. I had a folder on my phone full of hotels, itineraries, little restaurants I wanted to try with him. I showed it to him once. He smiled and said, "You always think of everything?" He said that to my face. While he was already seeing her. The thing about betrayal is it doesn't arrive like a storm. It arrives like a slow gas leak. You don't smell it, you don't see it, and then one day something sparks and your whole life is on fire and you're standing in the middle of it thinking, how did I not know? I scrolled through his messages. I know I shouldn't have, but I did, and I'm not sorry. It had been going on for 4 months. 4 months of her asking when he was going to end things. 4 months of him saying, soon. I just need the right time. 4 months of me cooking dinner for a man who was mentally already somewhere else, planning his exit, counting down the days. There was one message that made me sit down on the floor. She had asked him, "Does she even make you happy?" And he had taken 17 minutes to reply. And then he said, "She's comfortable. It's not the same thing." Comfortable. I was comfortable. Like an old couch. He hadn't gotten around to throwing out yet. I put the laptop back exactly where it was. I went to the bathroom, turned on the tap, and I cried without making a single sound. And then I washed my face. And when he came out of the shower, towel around his waist, smiling at me like nothing in the world was wrong, I smiled back. Because I needed a moment. I needed to think clearly. And I needed him to not know that I knew. That week was the strangest week of my life. I watched him perform our relationship like an actor who had already been cast in something better. He kissed me goodbye every morning. He asked about my day. He even suggested we finally book that Bali trip. I said, "Let's wait a little longer." He agreed. Of course he did. On Friday night, I made his favorite dinner. Candles, wine, the whole thing. He walked in and looked genuinely surprised, touched even. He sat down, and I watched him pour himself a glass, and I thought, this is the last time you will ever sit at this table. I had already spoken to my best friend. My things were half packed in a bag in her car outside. I had screenshotted every message. I had sent them to myself. I had already called my mother. I waited until he took a sip of his wine, and then I said, "I know about Priya." The glass didn't fall. He didn't shout. He just went very still. And in that stillness, I saw it. Not guilt, not remorse, but the look of someone who had been caught before they were ready. He wasn't sad that he hurt me. He was annoyed that his timeline got disrupted. I didn't cry, not in front of him. I stood up, picked up my bag from the hallway. He didn't even know it was packed. and I walked to the door. He called my name once. I turned around and I looked at him, really looked, for the last time. "She can have you," I said. "I just feel sorry for her." And I left. That was 6 months ago. I deleted the Bali folder. I don't regret it. I'll go someday. Just not with someone who sees me as comfortable. And some nights, when it's quiet, I still feel the ghost of who I thought he was. That's the part nobody tells you. You don't just mourn the person. You mourn the version of them you loved. The version that maybe never existed at all. But I also know this now. I would rather burn down a comfortable life than spend one more night in a house where someone is secretly counting down the seconds until I'm gone. I chose myself, and that is the only thing in this story I am proud of.